the way it should work.
And did you need to do something with that little
Nope,
thing?
not at all. Just
Hang on.
press power, and you should be good to go. Ah, there we go.
All right. How am I hearing now? Can you
Oh,
hear me now?
I could totally see your levels.
Can
look
you hear
great.
me now? All right. So let's just scratch the first 3 minutes of this and start over. Let me tuck this back in my ass where it belongs.
Hey, that was perfect.
Okay, y'all, starting again. I'm Juliette Miranda. This is Bourbon Soak Live, and we're clearly morons.
That was perfect. That's the only way you should start a show.
I should. So here's where we're at. We decided on some crazy whim that we were going to do this early today because we thought, well, gosh, it's Labor Day. People have got stuff going on, barbecues, whatever it is. Let's do it early. And then that way, we can have cocktails throughout the afternoon and 7 o'clock won't roll around and we won't be drunk. However, it helps if you don't stay up all night the night before drinking.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So let's say hello to everybody who is kind enough to put up with our nonsense in the chat. Ginger is stopping by to say hello. I can't wait to hear your story. I hope you had a great camping trip, Ginger. Gemma has been here. I'm so glad to see you. And I just want to thank you, Gemma, for the really sweet things you say about the podcast. I love having you as a listener. Really appreciate that. I think I saw Jenny in here. We've got Container Man, our resident troublemaker,
Yep.
Video Call-In Show.
Yeah, Jim's here.
Nina Landis. Who am I missing? D90.
Yeah,
Well, hello.
D90 is, and of course Jenny Marseth.
And
Yes,
Jenny
she's here.
Marseth is here. So
Absolutely.
the gang is all here. And I hope you guys are having a great Labor Day weekend. It's been beautiful out here. I know there's some pretty horrifying weather rolling in through the south right now, which
Yeah.
is definitely a bummer.
Which is affecting your family.
Yeah, I have parents who live down there. They actually just moved there weeks ago, and they're in their brand new home, and they're already being evacuated out of it.
Just moved in last week,
Yeah.
and they have to move out for the evacuation.
Yeah,
Pretty brutal.
yeah, it's a bummer. But you move down south, that's a risk. So
Yeah.
let's talk cocktails, because clearly we haven't had enough.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking ginger beer and Whiskey Acres straight rye whiskey. Love Whiskey Acres rye. It's made for people who don't necessarily enjoy like hardcore rye whiskey, that big spicy punch. Whiskey Acres is what's known as a seed to spirit distillery, so they do everything. I mean, they grow their grains and then they process them and they distill them, make their whiskey. And I actually spent an entire day down there where they let me come in and take over the whole distillery and see the process and get my hands in the mash and everything. It was very cool. So I love drinking their rye. It really makes a nice, perfect cocktail because clearly I haven't had enough. And behind the microphone over there is my wacky producer, David.
Wacky today for sure.
And he is manning the chat, so he'll try and keep me on track and make sure that I can say hi to everybody who rolls on in and says hello. Because today we're going to be talking about crazy, crazy cab rides. And I have to put this out there right now. I could not be more grateful that Lyft and Uber exist. Because I think that I understand that there are some, concerns about perhaps some of their business practices and the way that they pay their drivers. And I understand there's a lot of kinks in the system to work out. But as a concept, the idea of ride sharing is genius because it takes people off the streets who shouldn't be driving. So we are...
Including us.
We are very pro Lyft and Uber.
Absolutely.
And
if we have one cocktail,
yeah.
It's immediately call for a Lyft or an Uber.
Exactly. I mean,
It's a smart way to do it.
Yeah, spend your weekend hanging out on the driveway having some cocktails. You suddenly get a craving for nachos that cannot be denied.
That never happens with you.
Oh, that never happens. What did D90 say? My favorite 20-year ago vodka plus coffee and a Marlboro Red. You are badass.
That is badass. That's a whole weekend right there.
Whew. Yeah, I'm a little raspy myself because last night there were some cigars that came out.
Cuban cigars, by the way. Our neighbor was kind enough when he went to Canada to bring us back a
Indeed.
few Cuban cigars.
Yeah, he is a very nice man. We like this neighbor.
We love our neighbor.
And ironically, he also drives for Lyft every so often. So when we're out there in the driveway, he's like, "Hey guys, I'm heading out. Can I take you anywhere?
Right? Like, nope, we're all good.
We're all good today." But that's not to say we haven't had our own crazy experiences in our ride shares. I think what I have the hardest time with is just making small talk in these cars because it's just some regular dude driving it who's doing it all day. And, they just want to, have conversation. And I am terrible at small talk. So bad at it. I mean, I will just sit there and I'll stare at them. And I know it's rude, but I have nothing to say. That's why I'm here. I get all my words out talking to y'all here.
You're much better with a microphone in front of you.
I am, yeah. I mean, at least here I know what I'm supposed to be talking about. I can talk about myself. You get in a car, what am I supposed to say? Hey, I have a podcast. Nobody cares.
Yeah, it's like saying, yeah, I collect small dolls,
Yeah, exactly. It's just some guy driving. But the problem, too, being a woman, I found, is that it can be a little risky occasionally, engaging some of these drivers in conversation. I have had more cab drivers hit on me than I can count, and it's always a little uncomfortable, because they're in control of the car. But my guy has taught me that it is okay occasionally to talk to people. And he and I were riding to the airport and just got into this conversation with our driver. It turns out he is a recruiter for the Chicago Bulls. And he's like, "Oh, hey, you guys like basketball?" He's like, "Here's my number. Here's my Instagram page." He followed me right there in the car on Instagram. And now we have this new best friend who gets us courtside seats for the Bulls.
Courtside seats, mind you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, he just retired from the Bulls. So he does this. I love what he said and how he kind of got to be a driver because he had a pretty big gambling addiction.
That's right.
And he said, to keep me out of the casinos, my wife said, you should probably drive for Lyft just to keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, well, you got to do something with your hours.
Right? Yeah. And he was showing us pictures with him and Shaquille O'Neal, who is like the...
I know. Lakers.
No, I'm not thinking of the actual team that he's on, but his son's godfather, right?
Oh, that's right. Shaquille O'Neal is his son's godfather. I mean, the most random thing, getting into a Lyft, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to talk to this guy. And Dave is just like, well, hey, let's be nice. Don't be a jerk. And all of a sudden, we made a friend out of it. So
he's awesome.
It shows that it pays to be nice to people. And I noticed that Gemma is back in the chat. She must have stepped away. So Gemma, I don't know if you know her. I don't know if you heard me say it earlier, but I wanted to thank you for being a listener of the show and supporting the podcast and everything. Really appreciate having you here.
Yeah, and everyone here in the chat, if they're digging what you do, feel free to share this out, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you'd like.
Yeah, please do. Let's get some.
Awesome.
Let's get some warm bodies in here.
Warm bodies. You make it sound like we have a shovel and some lye, and we're gonna
Not yet.
murder some people.
We had a horrible thing happen on our driveway the other night. We were just sitting out there minding our own business, and we discovered that there is a wasp hive above us, just teeming with these horrible, vile, winged creatures that wanted us gone. So we had to deal with it in the most professional way possible. My guy got a broom and a flip-flop and a can of Raid. And he's standing under the garage and he's waving this broom around, smacks into the hive, then starts spraying them like crazy with the Raid, and they start falling down, like raining out of the hive like a little, downpour of dying wasps. And then, the ones that didn't quite die got it pretty good with the flip-flop. So this is what we do when we are besieged by insects at the end of summer, because, man, those things are vicious.
Yeah, the kill count was 20.
Yes, yeah. It was impressive. Oh, Ginger's back. Yay. She says, Willie and I were at a brewery years ago seeing a Frank Zappa cover band. called a cab 4 times for us, but the cab never came. There's more coming, all right? And while you get to that, it's a good thing that I'm not jealous about my guy traveling, because he came back from a business trip to New York not too long ago and said, hey, guess who I shared a limo with? And I
Oh, it
said,
wasn't a limo, it's just a cab.
oh, was it just a cab?
Just a cab.
And I said, well, who would that be, my love? And it was Jennifer Love Hewitt. And apparently the two of them got real cozy in the back of that cab. They're like besties now.
She was awesome. She was filming a movie out in New York, and I was just standing in, Midtown, trying to get a cab in Midtown Manhattan.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
At like 3:30, 4 o'clock
Right.
is next to impossible. It is the hardest thing in the world to do.
It is.
And I flagged one down, and I yelled into the window. I go, going to Newark Airport. And then this woman taps me on the shoulder and says, hey, I got to go there too. Can we share a ride? And I go, I didn't even really look at her. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. So I get in the back, and then I turn to her and I go, oh my God, that's Jennifer Love Hewitt. I'm like, and then I'm, just trying to figure out what to say. But we were talking about her movies because she was on set for the whole week, and talked about, what she was shooting. And she had a bag of wigs with her, which I could not figure out what that was all about.
Are you sure they weren't, heads?
No, there was no heads attached to them. I promise you.
Ginger has more of her story to tell us. She says Willie was passed out in the front of the bar, and this girl just gave us a ride. She didn't want money. She also had a van, and we got Willie in the back, and that girl saved us. It was awesome. So this was just some chick in the bar. Nobody, you knew, just offered to give you a ride home. That's crazy. There are nice people left in the world. Who knew?
Yeah, exactly.
My guy is king of passing out in cabs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just get so tired when someone else drives. I just get sleepy.
Yeah, it just, like, the motion of the car just lulls you right into sleep. And we had a cab driver who, I don't know if he got lost. I don't know if he thought he was going somewhere other than where he was supposed to go. But my guy falls asleep in the back of the car. And I'm doing my best to not fall asleep myself, because I am just hammered. And all I want to do is go to bed. But somebody has to stay awake and, keep things rolling. And I'm looking out the window and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm seeing buildings go past. I'm like, he's going the wrong way. And I'm like, hey, buddy, that's not where we're going. He's like, oh, it's cool. I know where I'm going. And you never know if you should trust them when they say that. Okay, you are a cab driver. I assume you know where you're going, but I don't think you know where I'm going. So I'm like, no, really, this is where we're going. This is our hotel. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm taking a back road there. I'm like, no, you're going in the wrong direction. And I'm nudging my guy. I'm elbowing him in the chest, and I'm like, wake up. And you're like, what? I'm like, we're going the wrong way. You got to do something. I need help here. And he's like, where are we? Not very helpful, Mr. Man.
I was sleepy.
You were sleepy. So I'm yelling at this cab driver, and he's like, I know where I'm going. And I go, no, turn around and go back. We're going to this hotel. I go, I know Chicago, and I know that this is not a back road, dude. We're lucky we didn't get kicked out. I got a little testy with the guy.
A little bit. Oh, show your koozie. That's a very fancy koozie.
It is Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks, and they are our friends, and they have a YouTube channel called Halos and Heathens. And we're actually going to be hanging out with them in Napa coming up.
In Napa in October. Yes. Yeah, they live in Napa. They're this wonderful couple that we met through podcasting many, many years ago, pretty close to 4 years ago. And then when they started doing YouTube, they introduced us to Pusa, and all of a sudden here we are.
I know, and here we are. Yeah. We got koozies and everything. Hello, hanging with Mr. J. Good to see you. And I see that Container Man is back in the group.
Container Man's back.
Who knows what he was up to?
Well, he was watching a spin a disc for a while. That's our fault.
I think Container Man wanted to kidnap us last night.
Yeah. With the message that he sent. It would have been awesome to meet him in Iowa if we, weren't drinking during the course of the day. We could have, driven out and seen them, but that wasn't going to happen since
No.
we had a few
No,
cocktails.
that wasn't happening at all. And I see that Gemma says that she gets anxious with cab drivers. They always ask silly questions. They do, especially, when they want to know what you're doing somewhere or they want to get a little bit more information than you're comfortable giving them. And I never know how to handle it. My guy is way better at that than I am because I'll just be like, nah, I got nothing to say. And I'll just shut up.
Well, you just bury your head in your phone.
I do.
Which a lot of people do. And I talk to a lot of Lyft drivers because I always take Lyft to the airport if I have to fly somewhere for my job. And I always talk to the drivers. I'm always curious to see, what's the craziest thing they've seen.
Oh, yeah. And that was actually something I wanted to ask people. So have any of y'all ever thrown up in a cab? Because I have.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have.
I have. And that wasn't even because of the booze. It was actually
Nope.
from food poisoning.
Yep.
And man, did I feel bad about that. And I kept saying, I'm like, you gotta stop. You have to stop. This isn't going to end well for anybody. And he's like, oh, it's just another 2 blocks. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. And I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna make it, dude. And then it's just like, blah. And he's like, oh, man. He's like, I can't believe. And then he was like mad at me. And I kept saying, I knew this was going to happen. I told you. And I'm crying. And he was yelling at me. And, it was a mess. David's like pulling off his coat, trying to clean it up.
It was interesting.
Yeah, it was not my best moment.
Every Lyft driver that I have talked to, and I don't take Uber anymore. That's just a personal choice because
Yeah.
Lyft is actually, they pay their drivers better. So it's kind of a thing that I like to do just because, they get paid better.
Sure, right. Better business plan.
Better business plan. So in taking Lyfts, I always ask the driver about throw-up stories. I go, hey, when was the
And
last
they
good throw-up?
all have one.
They all have
They
them.
all do. They have throw-up stories and they have make-out stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people getting frisky in the back. They have a lot of
Which
those stories.
I've done too, of course.
In a cab?
I have, yeah.
Ew.
And I'm not proud of it. I'm really not. It's one of those things where it just kind of happens. And in the moment, at least for me, I'm making out with this guy that I'm seeing and it's getting kind of hot. And I just felt so awkward about it. I mean, like I'm into it, but I'm also very conscious of where I am. And it's really hard to enjoy yourself.
Right.
And then, it's like, well, let's just call it off. Let's just hang on, we'll be where we're going in just a couple of minutes. And the guy is always like, woohoo, who cares? We're in a cab, he doesn't care. And I'm like, no, I see the driver adjusting the mirror. He cares.
He cares and he's watching.
They all watch.
You blame them? They need entertainment too.
I know. It's a long ride, you got a long night. You got to have something to keep you entertained. But
Exactly. Well, the hidden secret about either cabs, Lyfts, or Ubers is that if you do throw up in one of those vehicles, it is a automatic $250
Yes.
charge
yes, it is.
for cleanup,
Yeah.
which it should be.
Yeah. I mean, it's, sometimes you can't help it, but yeah, it's not nice. And Container Man, I see that you have said you would only have kidnapped me, and somehow that doesn't make me feel better.
He would have just killed me and kidnapped you and wear my skin as a suit.
Yeah, exactly. He'd be like, look, it's David. I'm David.
So anyone else out there have a good cab story? They're always interesting.
Video
I always
call
love
and
to hear a
show.
good story.
He says he has not thrown up in a cab. Well, good for you. We have a it's not an official cab service or Lyft service. It's just someone up in Michigan that lives near some friends that we have out there who have a cottage, and she kind of runs a for hire, cab service unofficially for her friends and for people in the area. And every 4th of July, we test this woman's patience like you wouldn't believe.
Well, we hire her for the day.
We do. We hire her for the day. We pay her handsomely, and we still manage to
piss her off.
completely piss her off. It will start with us, being late, of course. She'll be on time. She'll show up at noon or whatever time we tell her to be there. And we're running around the house like morons. We're trying to stuff whiskey bottles in bags and, collect everything. And it's the 4th of July. So, we're packing up piles of fireworks for the beach and everything. And then there's always something that we've forgotten or we can't get to. So then she's got to take us to the grocery store. She's got to take us somewhere else. And she's like, oh, guys, come on. Can't you just get it together once? And then so.
Well, and to be fair, it's not us that are the problem.
No, our friends are definitely
friends.
the problem. Yeah, I'm a very organized person. I'm always ready to go. But our friends are just maniacs.
Yeah, they're like muskrats running around. You
They
can't
are.
cage them. So,
No,
so
no,
they're
I
very
mean,
hard to
it's-
corral and get to places, and they're a hell of a lot of fun.
Well, they're a blast. But then at the end of the night, we've made a bonfire on the beach, so we're dirty. We're covered in sand. Obviously we've spilled booze on ourselves. We stink, and we're like, we need food. Take us to the truck stop.
Right.
So then she'll take us to the truck stop, and one of us will wind up passing out in the back of her car. One year it was me. I fell asleep in the back seat. Another year it was my girlfriend, and she's, drooling up a storm, and we're, feasting in the truck stop, and we come back, and we've got these big plates of food that we're still eating from, and she's like, please don't eat in my car too. You've already gotten it full of booze and sand and dirt, and now you're bringing in chicken wings.
Well, isn't that kind of a rite of passage? If you're going to take a cab somewhere, don't you always have them go through a drive-through and they're always annoyed?
Oh, they hate it. We do that to our Lyft drivers too. We're like, hey, could you stop at, Burger King for us? Could we stop at 7-Eleven real quick? I see Food Quig is here, and he says, I have never thrown up in a cab, but I have been driving them for 27 years. Let's see if I can remember everything that happened. I have so many questions for you. Oh my gosh. Craziest story. What's the most disgusting thing that's ever happened? Who makes out in your cab? You got people who ditch your cab after, running out. So many questions.
Gemma has thrown up in a cab, and over where she's at in the UK, it was only a 60-pound fine there.
I don't know what the conversion is. What's 60 pounds?
To U.S. dollars, I think that's roughly about $100. I think,
Well,
isn't
that's
it?
less than 250.
Maybe 90 or 100. I think that's relative rounding, if I get that right.
Food Quick says it's 75.
75 in Canada.
Wow.
75. Wow, that's not so bad.
Yeah, you guys have
they
got it
really-
easy.
What they do is they take that $250 here and then they detail their whole car.
Exactly. Which I guess I can't say that I blame them.
Exactly.
We were all over the city this weekend, and we were staying downtown and had seen the band Squeeze play at the Chicago Theater, which was so much fun, just cool band and everything.
Yeah,
And
band from the 80s, great band.
yeah, our Lyft driver couldn't find us. So we're like, well, we're going to go, he's like, I'm going to go behind because it was all crazy. He's like, I'm going to go behind the theater. And we walk back there, and who would we see but Glenn Tilbrook from Squeeze, standing out there walking his dog.
Yep.
He's got this little Pomeranian, and we're like, oh my gosh, Glenn Tilbrook, hey, you're awesome. Happy birthday. It was his birthday. And
Which we happen to know, and I think that freaked him out a little bit that we knew it was his birthday.
It may have. Yeah, he was like, why do these strangers know it's my birthday?
Stalkers.
But we got to meet his dog, Chewy, which was awesome.
Yes. Yeah, and video call-in show, absolutely Black Coffee
Oh,
in Bed. That
my
was,
Favorite song.
yeah, that was their closer, as a matter of fact.
It
That's what they
was.
closed the show with.
Yeah,
Yep,
I mean-
Tempted and
They did everything.
Cool for Cats.
Goodbye Girl.
Goodbye Girl.
Yeah.
Tons and tons of great songs from the 80s. And the place was, if it wasn't sold out, it was darn near sold out.
It was great. They were so spot on. I mean, just perfect musicians. It was really cool. I was I knew it was going to be a good show. I had no idea it was going to be so technically perfect.
Right.
I mean, it's a rock show. You don't expect it to, roll through. So just clean and
Well,
good.
And if anyone is anywhere near Chicago or get a chance to come to Chicago, that the Chicago Theater where we saw them is a gorgeous place to see a show. Great acoustics for an older building, which usually doesn't happen very much.
Mm-hmm.
Great acoustics and just a beautiful room.
Yeah, absolutely. Just stunning.
Yes. And I see what Food Quick said.
We have rubber and vinyl interiors. Just pressure wash them out and dry. Now, see, that's smart.
Yeah, you hose them out like a prison, cell.
I was
I love
gonna
that.
say a barn, but
That is the most genius idea. If it's just all rubber and vinyl, then yeah,
well, yeah, that
you don't have
makes
to worry about it.
sense. You know, I mean, I don't know why more cabs do that.
Well, that's the problem with Lyft and Uber is
I
everyone
know it's
uses
just
their own
somebody's
car,
using their own personal car, and
right?
it's not like your grandmother's sofa. You know, they don't cover it in squeegee wrap.
Yeah, they should.
They should.
It should look like an Italian grandmother's, sofa back there.
Exactly. um, video call and show. Medium fan here. Are you being clever there? Video call and show.
Medium fan. I don't know if I get that.
I don't know if I get it. Oh, Ian Matthews is here. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. We're talking crazy cab rides. We're talking about all the dirty things that we do in cabs, from throwing up to making out, and I've done it all, unfortunately. And while I have your attention, I want to mention Bourbon Soaked Live. Hashtag Bourbon Soaked Live. You guys see me up here babbling at you for 40 minutes. I would love to see you. So every week we ask that you take a photo of yourself watching Bourbon Soak Live and post it to Twitter using hashtag Bourbon Soak Live. I wanted to share a couple of the photos that we got from last week. We have, of course, our lovely friend Container Man.
Which he didn't really take a picture of himself. He just kind of blurred it out in the background.
Are
but
you in
I
the
love
witness
that he
protection
posted it.
program?
It might be witness protection. But it was awesome for him to post. He posted 2 of them. As
I know. So I really thank you for sharing that. And we also have another photo of Ginger, who is always great about hanging out and drinking with us. So thank you. It was lovely seeing you. And as for the rest of you, come on, share your photos. I want to see you.
Yep. Hashtag Bourbon Soak Live right on Twitter. And we'll be sure to feature them on a future show.
Absolutely. As for me, I am drinking bourbon and ginger right now. Actually, no, it's not bourbon, it's whiskey. It is rye whiskey.
Ah.
Oh, and it's good. It's
Is
like
it good?
hair of the dog.
Yeah. Well, that'll happen. I was just drinking coffee over here. Ooh, and by the way, here.
Oh, hey, yeah, we got
Show.
something for you.
Yep. Look at that.
Ooh, look at that.
That's right. I'm drinking coffee out of my Viewed This coffee mug.
Fancy stuff here.
A channel who's also a friend of the show. He is awesome. Tony puts out great content.
Oh my gosh. We have Patrick Fulmer here, and you know who else just popped in?
I see the Quad
I see the
Father
Quad Father.
himself.
Wow.
He is
Wow.
awesome.
We're not worthy.
For those who don't know, the Quad Father is a longtime podcasting friend of ours.
Mm-hmm.
He actually turned us onto the Pottern family.
Yeah. He's been a huge supporter, so it's great to see you in here. Wow, doing this at 11 a.m. just brings out everybody. I love it. So we're talking crazy cab rides, and I was just about to say how David almost got into a fist fight with one of our Lyft drivers. They never seem to be able to find us when we are at Arlington Race Park, which is a horse racing track. And we had been, waiting for this guy and waiting for him, and we see on our phone that he's, right there. And he's like, I can't find you guys. Where are you? You need to be in this location. You need to stop moving around. And we're like, dude, we're not moving. You're the one who can't find us. Because there's really only one pickup place, but there are 2 entrances. So he kept going to the wrong entrance despite all of our instructions. So David finally decides to cancel the lift. He's like, I've had it. He's like, you're out. I'm canceling this ride. And the guy actually showed up at Arlington just as we were getting into another lift, and he starts screaming at us. He is all, you can't do that. You're rude. I'm going to trash your reputation. I'm going to make sure you never get a Lyft ride again. And, we're looking at him going, why are you so bent out of shape about this, my friend? And David walks up to him. He goes, okay, that's enough. And the guy actually, you see him making a fist. And my guy is scrappy. I mean, he's not a fighter, but he will throw down if he has to. So he's like, oh, don't you do that. Don't you even go there. And I'm standing off to the side going, oh, please, I don't want to go to jail today. I really don't. I don't want to have to be in the back of a cruise car instead of the back of a Lyft. I just want to go home.
Well, to be, honest, I haven't had a fight since some stupid thing that happened in high school, right? But
That's
I'm
not
not a
true.
fighter.
That is not true.
Well, what happened?
When the guy stole your base.
Oh, yeah, okay. I did beat up a guy. Sorry.
He didn't just beat him up. He put his foot on his head.
Well, he stole my friend's guitar, and that guitar was worth $1,500. It was a very expensive guitar. Kid just took it off the stage and ran out the front door. So I chased him, I tackled him, and then I kicked him once in the head.
Yeah, it was...
It wasn't a fight.
I have never seen you run that fast in my life. I don't think I've ever seen him run anywhere, except when somebody steals a guitar, he tears off like it's a marathon. It was actually kind of impressive.
Yep, we have a few more folks in the room.
Who have we got here? Diary of Her Mind. Hey, thank you for joining us today. I know I said hello to Patrick. What have we got going on? I see people chatting all over the place. Container Man, go to jail today. That sounds like it happens every day. Well, that's not entirely accurate.
No.
But it does occasionally apply to us.
We have never gone to jail. That is not true. We've never.
No, I've never been in jail.
Nope.
No, but I have had the cops called on me multiple times. But I'm always able to talk myself out of it.
See, that's the good part.
I know, right?
You can still have all the fun, but not have to deal with any of that pesky jail stuff in the back end of it.
One of these days, my luck is going to run out. And it's going to be when I'm doing something really stupid, like, putting my John Bon Jovi cutout in a storefront again or something.
Right, yeah.
Whiskey and ginger. This is good stuff, y'all. Ooh.
You want to do the promotion for next week?
I do. Next week, we are going to be talking about bad decisions. Because we've all made them, and, well, as we've alluded, I've made many, many bad decisions that have resulted in things that weren't especially good. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be back at our regular time next Monday at 7 p.m. Central. And let all your friends know, come hang out with us. It's the next best thing to hanging out in a bar, right? So
it's safer.
Oh, Gemma, thank you for reminding me. She's just posted her photo on Twitter. What I'm asking everybody to do, take a photo of yourself watching, post it on Twitter with the hashtag #BourbonSoakedLive, and I will share it on the show next week. And like I said, that show starts at 7 p.m. next Monday. So, guys, it has been so awesome chatting with you. I can't believe we've had Quadfather in here, Diary of Her Mind, Gemma, D90, Patrick, Jenny Marseth,
Container Man,
our resident scamp.
And of course, Jim from the
Video call-in show. Yes. So, guys, thanks for joining me on this early episode of Bourbon Soak Live. Really loved having you here. I'll see y'all again next Monday night. Cheers.